Hey everybody, we are back in the garage because I have got to make some progress on this Celica. The motor has been sitting. Honestly and truthfully, I've just had too many projects that I've been jumping into on some different things. But it's time to get back on track. The item that we're going to be working on today is going to be building custom wires. So I've got the LC Engineering wire loom, wire mounts here, and their LC Pro distributor. The wire sets that we're going to be using are the E3 spark plugs performance race wire. These are their 8.5 millimeter low ohm resistance wires, super thick. Comes with all the stuff that you need. So I'm going to go through more detail on those parts. So let's head over to the bench. All right, so to go through some of these parts, obviously we've got your wire set here. Again, these are really nice, high quality wire. E3 Ignition Products, 8.5 millimeter, low ohm resistance wires. I believe this is like 50 ohms per foot. So again, really nice, high quality wire. And it's also going to come with the coil wire that you need. These are actually for a V8. So what's nice is I'm gonna get 2 sets out of this. And then, of course, all the boot ends. So your spark plug boot end, and then this is going to be your distributor end, and then these are the crimps. So I've got a crimp tool that I'll be using, and before we cut any of these wires, you want to make sure that you get everything laid out on the motor. So let's go ahead and get those mounted to the motor and mark how long our lengths need to be. All right, so we've got everything laid out on the motor now. We've got the wires laid out lengthwise. We know that they're not going to hit the header when it's installed. We're going to be able to pull these off, maintenance wise. These are all bolted down with the holders. Again, we're using the LC Engineering wire mount, and I've got all of the lengths going. So with the distributor, we've got cylinder 1, 3, 4, and 2. So that's going to be your firing order. We've got all of these laid out, and I've got my lengths marked. So I started out using tape. Tape didn't really want to stick to the wire, so I went ahead and threw a mark on there as well with some painters, with a painter's pen. And yeah, again, you want to make sure that you leave a little bit of room in there. You don't want these to be super tight. So yeah, now that we've got all of this laid out, I'm going to take this off. We're going to head back over to the bench, get them cut to length, and then we'll go through the process of crimping these things. As we're working on these wires, like I said, we've got these marked for where we're going to cut them, but always good to practice. So the way this works is we're going to need to cut into the core. We're going to need to cut into the core, but we don't want to cut too deep, and we also don't want to have to be pulling off this much wire. So the way this will work is, again, we're just testing right now. So let's say that this is where my mark was, or let's go with this. Let's say that the E3 logo here is where my mark was. So we're going to cut, let's call it, ½ inch to 1 inch from our mark, leaving extra space. So there we are. Then we are going to take our knife, our blade, and we're just going to roll. We're going to roll right on the wire just until we get to the core. Roll around, just cutting just until we get to the core, so that we can remove the outer layer. Again, be easy. You don't want to damage the core. You don't want to cut through the core. And as you get around, you can kind of open it up and see. You can kind of open it up and see how far you've gotten and where you need to keep cutting. And as you get around, it'll loosen up, and then you'll be able to pull it off. So that's what we're looking for. And then when we do the crimp, we're going to take this, and this needs to be longer, so we're going to leave more on there. But we'll take this and we'll fold it back and lay that right onto the wire there. So let's go ahead and do another practice. So we're going to cut wire lead, and let's go with closer to 1 inch, and we're going to work our way through the outer sheath, again being careful not to cut the core. And as we get all the way around, we should be able to peel that back, and honestly it'll even cut the rest of it for you. So get that done, you should be able to pull this off. There we go. So now we've got our core, and again, what we're going to do is take this, we're going to fold it back onto itself. This will go on there just like that. And then we're going to use our crimp tool to crimp. Now I'm not going to do that because, again, I don't want to waste any of these clips, but that's the process. So let's go ahead and do it for real. All right, so I've got the wire cut. We still need to strip the end, but also before we put any of this stuff on, before we put, you know, the boot ends and stuff like that, I did pick up these heat shrink sleeves from Summit Racing, and we're going to number the wires. So I've got number 1 on there. So this is already on. Honestly, I think it'll be easier if we put this onto the boot first. So got these clamps, and we're also going to use a little bit of dielectric grease to grease things up to make the wire a little easier to slide through. So let's place this on. And that's going to help us really open this up in order to get the wire through. That did not work. Also want to be able to orient this correctly. All right. Now that we've got the wire in, I've got it in a little bit further than it needs to be, and we will pull it back once I get this stripped. So remember, you don't want to cut too deep. We're just trying to get the outer sheath off. And there we go. We've got our wire connector here. And we've got our clamp. So if you guys recall, you're going to take the wire, bend it back on itself, and then place the connector. This is a little tight, so I need to grab some pliers so I can open this up. Got some needle nose here, so we're just going to open this up a little bit. Just so we can get this onto the wire. Would have been helpful if I pulled this through a little bit more, but we'll make do. Slip that on. You want to go a little bit past the end there. And then we are going to take our crimper, our crimp tool. Before we take the crimp tool, we're going to go ahead and close this up a little bit by hand, just so that the tool grabs. Obviously, it'd help if we orient this correctly. And there we have it. So we've got that nice and tightly crimped. This is biting into the insulation. So that crimp, that is not coming off now. And then what we'll do is we'll pull some of that excess through. Also, there's a little tab there. We're gonna just get that cut off. Keep things cleaned up. And then we are going to pull that into position. You don't want to go too far. That's it right there. And then when you push the boot, when you push this onto the cap, it will get fully centered, or the right depth. And there we have it. We'll use some heat wrap on there, but that is one wire. And for this 4-cylinder, we've got 3 more to go. Now that we've got all of the wires done, each of these guys are nice and terminated. And I haven't shrunk them yet, but we've got all of our wire numbers on here. So let's go test fit it and see how it fits on the car. Okay, let's get these fitted to the motor. We've got all of these that set in here. We'll go ahead and connect our wire leads. We'll go by number. So we've got cylinder 1, cylinder 2 goes down here, and number 3, and number 4. Okay, so looks like 2 and 3 are a little tight. See if I can rotate that around. There we go. And it looks like I can probably take a little bit of slack We'll take 4's pretty good. What do you guys think? Should 1 go over or should it go under? Thinking over. I do want to see if I can pull just a little bit out of 2. We'll slide this over just a touch. But as a whole, there we go. We've got our custom race wire set from E3 Ignition Products, E3 spark plugs. Again, guys, these things are awesome. 8.5 millimeter spiral core. And I was able to build these custom fit to my motor exactly the way that I want them laid out. So yeah. If you guys have any questions, definitely hit me down in the comments. You know, I didn't show on camera 4 or 3 of the wires. But, you know, showing the process for the 1, hopefully that was helpful. If you guys want more detail, I've got extra wire. Again, I've got an entire set that I can build. So if you want me to build another set, being more closely, truly hands-on, showing you each step, building, cutting, you know, crimping the wire, I'm more than happy to do that. So just let me know. But anyway, yeah, so here's the wires. Very happy with how these turned out. That is just another piece of this puzzle to getting this back into this car. So I've got an order in of parts to Rock Auto, transmission mount, a temp sensor, some things, but the transmission mount I need so that I can get this transmission paired, get it paired to the motor, and then we'll be putting it in the car. So again, if you haven't, I appreciate you guys coming by. Subscribe, drop your comments below. Let me know if you guys need anything. You want to know more about what I built. You want to know more about the products that I'm using, or if you like this content. You know, if there's something I missed, let me know. But until next time, see you guys.